Hey everybody, I'm Sierra,
And I'm Ben.
and welcome to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of the original gateway drugs in true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
You sound like you work on NPR with that kind of voice.
Unsolved mysteries.
I feel like we're a little silly tonight because we're recording back to back.
Oh, yes.
So Ben had to watch a lot of Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay. I know we've hit
You
on
guys,
this.
at one point today, we were in different rooms of the house, and all of a sudden I hear Ben be like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore right now. And he like storms off into our son's room to play Xbox. And I was like, is everything okay? I can't watch any more Unsolved Mysteries right now. I need a break.
I did. I had hit my limit. I don't think I'm not trying to tear into a broken record here, but there's one thing. It's fine because we usually do an episode a week, and that gives me time to watch the episode.
Yeah.
Then maybe another day do my research. And now I'm getting to the point I have to watch it twice. And that is just excruciating.
People are depending on us to bring accurate reporting information. So yeah, you
we've
need to
already
make sure
done
that you're
this.
doing it correctly.
We did this the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized today I've had way too much unsolved mysteries in my life over the last couple days.
And the Delphi, Indiana case
I don't care.
Just wrapping up. And so I have been like pestering Ben about what's been happening
True
and
crime.
what are the
And
updates.
I just don't care.
He's officially burnt out on the
I
true
am
crime.
burnt out from true crime.
Okay.
Whatever this is. I mean, this is different. The recording aspect
It's hard because
is different.
we recorded several episodes before we went live. And the only downfall with that is, at least for now, and I think I said this a few episodes ago, if we were to get a bunch of feedback with the format or issues, we had so many in the bank that people would be like, they're not listening to us. So we needed to kind of like only have a scale back just a touch. And I'd like to get back to the point where we have probably a handful more, so we're not recording so close to the time it's launching, just in case. I mean, we have 3 kids. You work full time.
Here's the thing. Our listeners don't care. It's coming out once a week to them.
I know.
Like,
to them,
what are you guys complaining about?
They're like, what are you talking about? The logistics.
I just realized today, and this is what I was thinking about today, and this is what just got me all riled up. Again, I've said this before. I hated this show growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought I've put this show in my rear view mirror to I never have to dive. It doesn't have to be a part of my life.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing this, which I've enjoyed. I've loved doing it with my wife. It's been a great hobby for us. But I realized, this show is in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of my life now. And not just a little bit, but today it was a lot of it.
Well, and this episode is a lot. It felt a little overwhelming for me. So up top, real quick apology off the bat. This episode has 6 stories in it. We've never seen more than 4.
Yeah, and I will say, I think that was the real thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm complaining about the wrong things here. I think this one, even though it was still the same length, it felt like an hour and a half episode.
I checked the time when I was watching it the other day because I watched this before you did. And I think I either told you or texted you. I was like, this was a special. I was so confused why there was 6.
You originally said there was 5 in it. And then when I watched it, I realized, no.
There's 6 stories in this. Yeah.
So,
and it still is only 40 something minutes of the episode. But when we recap that, plus give the updates, and a couple of them are short and simple, we can wrap them up pretty quick. But there's a couple of them that have some stuff going on after this aired. So hopefully we won't keep you guys too long, but fair warning. this episode might be a little on the longer side than what we typically, so that we can kind of get through. But yeah, I felt when I watched this the other day a little overwhelmed as well, because we're now watching it not just from a viewer standpoint, we're watching it as someone, how am I going to retell this and break this down and put it in a format that can be done through podcast? So you're watching it in a very different mindset. So to hear 6 episodes or 6 stories is a little overwhelming.
Well, it's a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a lot of writing of notes.
Yeah, Ben still handwrites his notes. We gotta.
Yeah, I'm true to it.
You.
Well, that's how I like it. So it's what I know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. It's my rant. It's my frustration. This show is just. It's my nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I'm done.
Are you done?
Maybe.
Are you good?
We'll see. It's very possible something will trigger me to come back to it, but.
Okay. So, like we said, this is season 1, episode 14. And I will get us started with the first show that they showcase, which is about a story about a boy named Jeremy Bright.
From your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And
once again, you guys.
Back in Southern
we're back
Oregon.
In Southern Oregon again.
I don't know what was happening in Southern Oregon. Grants
Apparently,
Pass,
it was
Medford.
just a blessing that I, as a child, survived the 90s in Southern Oregon.
It's amazing that everyone survived.
That any of
down
us
there.
made it out alive. And this is, yeah. So we'll get into it, but it also encompasses one of my other favorite things about life
Fair.
in Southern Oregon. The county fair.
County fair.
Yeah, it's anyone who's listening to this that is from Southern Oregon, especially Douglas County, knows that the fair, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. At least I was told.
Ben grew up in Northern Oregon. You guys had a fair, but it was definitely nothing like, no. It was just your kind of standard run of the mill.
Yeah. But when I met Sierra, she told me how important the fair was.
Okay, yes. So this story is about a boy named Jeremy Bright. He was a 14-year-old kid, popular, loved sports, just on the cusp of teenage life, and looked forward to starting high school in the fall in Grants Pass, Oregon. August 1986, the Coos County Fair was in Myrtle Point. Jeremy and his...
You've been to Myrtle Point, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been all over this whole neck of the woods.
This is Sierra's old stomping grounds.
Well, I didn't hang out in Myrtle Point much. There's not a ton to do there. There's not...
Well,
unless
there
the fair's
was during
in town.
the week of the fair.
That's because that's the only thing to do in these
the
counties.
fair's in town.
Yeah. So Jeremy and his younger sister attended the fair. This story gets a little confusing because we bring in several family members across 2 different towns, spread about 2 hours apart from each other, and there's a lot of missing time. I did some research.
Did you notice that they completely mess up the time frame?
Yes. And so
they tell us 2 different time frames.
2 different time frames in the story. And so I'm going to tell you what the story did on Unsolved Mysteries, and then I will try to kind of go in post-show research and see if we can fill in some holes.
Stuff. You got the real stuff, huh?
Yeah. So they were staying with their stepfather, Oli, while in Myrtle Point. On Thursday, August 14th, Jeremy called his mom, who was back in Grants Pass, to tell her, and he called her on a payphone.
On what day?
It said on the show August 14th, Thursday.
No, on the show it says Friday.
Oh, does
and then
it?
Later they tell us it's Thursday.
Okay. Well, I pulled my notes off a written transcript from the show.
Okay.
So maybe that's where the thing is. So according to the transcript that I pulled by dates from, it said August 14th, which was a Thursday. He called his mother to tell her that he was heading to the fair that evening. He was going with his little sister and a friend named Johnny Fish. It says that it's possible that his real name was Greg. But that's all we get on that guy.
They just say in the show it's Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, in the show, don't say anything about his sister.
Yeah.
This is new information for me.
For you. Yeah, they talk about 3 sisters on the show.
Not on the show.
Yes, they do. Because one of the sisters was the witness.
Yeah, that was the witness.
That was later. That was his
but
sister.
it was the witness of, it was the sister of the other, his friend. Yeah, I had to go listen to it multiple times because it's so confusing.
It is. I will say this was told very poorly on Unsolved Mysteries.
Is Jeremy, right?
Jeremy and
his friend is Johnny.
Johnny.
Okay.
And he has a little sister. They go to the fair that evening, Thursday, August 14th. Several witnesses saw the 2 boys together at the fair. 5 hours later, 9:40 p.m., Jeremy goes to a local bar, tavern, owned by his grandmother to meet his stepdad, who had just finished work. His stepdad gave him a few dollars, and he left and was never seen again. So, it's Thursday night. He spent the day at the fair. He's with a friend and his sister. He goes and gets some money from his stepdad and grandparents at the bar that they own. 2 days later. Literally, that is what we find out in the show. And then we jump to 2 days later.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of questions.
That's all we know.
We got a lot of questions.
This 14-year-old boy walks out of a bar at 10 o'clock at night with some cash in his pocket. 2 days later, his mother, Diana, arrives in Myrtle Point to pick up Jeremy and his sister, and he wasn't at the house.
How come the stepdad's not looking for him for the last 2 days?
Or has called. Wouldn't you at least, at bare minimum, call
Mom
the mother and say,
I
hey,
haven't seen him in a day.
Is there any chance that hitchhiking was a thing at this time, that he hitchhiked home? He got in a fight with this, I don't know what. Your guys' guess is as good as mine. But a 14-year-old kid doesn't come home for 48 hours and nobody is looking for him.
I know. They say this like it's no big deal. But I'm like, he's 14.
Yep.
And by Saturday, Mom's coming to pick him up.
Yeah.
And he's been missing since
Thursday
evening at 10 o'clock. It's literally been 36 to 48 hours.
Yeah. And
no one's seen
he has
him.
Grandparents that live. And here's the thing. I should have looked this up. This Myrtle Point is tiny. This is not a big town. He's got grandparents, aunts, uncles, and older sisters all living throughout this community in this town. And no one has noticed that this child is missing.
Yeah. I know. I had the same question.
And I will say, not a lot of his family is interviewed, which to me.
No, just the mom.
Just the mom.
That's it.
Which, I feel like.
And Johnny's sister is interviewed.
Yeah.
Later, because she tells one of the stories.
Yeah.
That's it.
So the mom hangs out at the house waiting for her son, thinking maybe she just missed him because, once again, no one's informed her that he's been missing for 2 days.
Well, she says like his wallet, his
keys are there. He just bought a brand new watch. When he didn't return home that night, she called the police. And then this is the best part of the entire thing. The authorities at first believed that he had run away to join the fair.
Did you see how they worded it?
Yeah.
That he had fallen.
Fallen in love with the lights of the fair or something. He was mystified.
The detective said he fantasize or romanticize?
Romanticize was the word.
Romanticizes was the word they used
Mm-hmm.
of his love for the fair so much
Yeah.
that he wanted to run away with the carnies.
Mm-hmm. What?
My question is, where'd you get that idea?
Well,
I mean, if we're throwing out guesses with zero evidence, I mean, I could come up with something. You want me to just throw something out there?
Was that a problem in Coos County, Oregon, that teenagers are just disappearing every time? And here's the thing, guys. These county fairs are not a circus that comes through the town. There's fairgrounds there. This fair is ran and set up by the same group of people year after year. I have been to these meetings and sat on like these boards where you plan the fair. It is not
Sierra
some mystical
fair expert
thing that comes through. The only thing that comes through are the carnies that put up the rides and take them down. Like it's not some fantasy life of a three-ring circus that comes through. Where he got that from is beyond me.
That's their first thought, that he ran away with the fair. And my question is,
no one's first thought was, why did a father not
did you get this dumb idea?
Yeah. Yeah, and the lead detective is interviewed, and he seems like a box of air. If anyone can hear any noises in the background.
No, they can't.
Dobby, the hairless cat, who has to be in this room while we are recording, is snoring so loud right now. So I apologize if anyone hears some weird noise in the background. It's just the naked cat. Okay, so yeah, this is
their first thought. He ran away with the fair. Now they got other theories. They're just throwing out. Yeah. They are just throwing out ideas.
However, by Sunday night, the fair's
gone.
Is leaving town. And so now they're a bunch of kidnapped children with the fair. Rumors at this point begin to swirl. Leave it to a small town. And here's some of the things that they come up with. 1, the week of the fair is party time. Everyone in this town is cutting loose.
Well, they got as that comedian says, everyone gets their best outfits on for the fair. They get the terry cloth pants out. And there's I apologize. I give credit to that is
Brian Regan.
No, right. That's not Brian Regan.
It wasn't Brian Regan who did that?
It's from a different
oh, no, we're going to have
comedian.
To look it up. Yeah.
He's from Hickory. That's his big thing. He's super funny. Anyways.
Yeah.
Credit to him for that joke.
And according to some rumors, this 14-year-old child wanders into one of these parties. No one can tell us who, when, what, where, or why.
But clearly a bunch of witnesses that don't want to talk.
Yeah. Was offered a beer that was laced with powerful illegal drugs.
Where'd they get this from?
Period. End of. Don't ask any further questions.
And they tell us these are just rumors.
Mm-hmm.
Rumors from who? Rumors from where? Who is saying
what
this?
Drugs are being put into the beers?
Where did you get this idea?
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying. You literally tell us this is the rumor going around town.
So he was roofied. I'm confused. 2 roofies, a 14-year-old boy at a house party. But then they make it sound like it wasn't a roofie because they say he had a heart murmur. So if he was given an upper, it might cause him to have health problems. Also, what?
Okay.
So what did they put? What is guy? You guys.
This is the worst told story.
Yeah. Which to me makes me feel like all of these people are hiding something. If you guys are coming up with these things, this whole town is guilty at this point. Okay, so yeah. And once again, the detective's on there and he's the one that's like, I think he'd had a heart murmur which could have caused his death. Okay. If someone dies like that, typically there's a body involved.
Yeah, you gotta, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Again, where's this coming from? So,
You know what? If this is what it takes to be a detective, and I'm, you know me.
usually, I was going to say, usually Ben is like, let's give law enforcement the
I'm
benefit
a
of doubt.
benefit of the doubt kind of guy. Let's
Yeah.
cut some slack. But this detective just comes on, and maybe there's more to the story that he doesn't want to tell.
No, there's not. I looked into it.
But he just literally starts telling stories with no facts. At least doesn't tell us where these facts are coming from.
And also
I'm thinking to
fails to
myself,
mention that maybe the concern was this kid was missing for 2.5 days before anyone called the police.
what?
Where?
Why is his stepdad not being questioned?
Yeah. Yeah, where is he?
I mean, his stuff was at the house.
Mhm.
Shouldn't he be a suspect? I'm not trying to say.
He's dead now, so we can technically
Well, but I'm just saying.
but yeah.
Isn't that where you would want
I mean,
to start?
that to me, suspect number one right
You would want to start
there.
with the person that
The kid made it. He had his wallet and stuff
That's
at
what I'm
the
saying.
fair. He made it
His
back
personal
to the
stuff
house.
is back home.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't you want to start there?
You would think.
But no, you want to start with the carnies?
Oh, no. I have one more rumor for you.
This one's good.
Actually, I think there's a few more in here, but this is like the other big one.
Oh, yeah. This one was great.
Yeah. So they tell us that the most disturbing story that they believe could have happened was 3 local teenagers showed up harassing Jeremy and some of his friends while they were swimming at a local lake. Now we've got a group of kids swimming and a group of teenagers harassing them.
With a gun.
With a gun being shown off. And one of the teenagers pretended to shoot at him for, quote, target practice, but then accidentally shot him and wounded him. The teenagers then at that point decide to throw some leaves on it and attempt to play nurse at a local cabin. However, he allegedly dies from the wounds. And then the teenagers buried him in the woods.
So I will say, this is the only rumor that the police officer tells us where he got this rumor. Did you catch that?
Yeah, an anonymous jail source.
Yeah, an inmate in a jail who heard the story from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
A rumor of a rumor from an criminal.
But where were all of these other teenagers there witnessed their friend get shot?
That was my next question.
It's literally, this could be
Other teenager?
No, they find this cabin out in the I'm sure that this was a local spot that teenagers went out and smoked pot and drank and partied.
Whatever. Do your thing.
They went out to the cabin and searched it and looked for a body out in the woods. Instead of let's figure out who these friends were.
But you're telling me that one of the other teenagers that was just an innocent bystander who's swimming in the swimming hole, they say.
Yep.
Who then witnesses these bullies come up and then shoot a kid, then take the kid away.
They don't say a word.
And they just say, you know what? You know what's probably good for the rest of my life? To keep my mouth shut.
And
Really?
then how does some jailhouse informant hear it?
Oh my God. It just, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
So then the authorities talked to Johnny's sister, and she said the day after Jeremy vanished, between midnight and 1 a.m., her and her friend were leaving her sister's apartment, and they ran into a neighborhood teen who had blood all over his clothes. When they asked him what had happened, he responded, "Oh, this? It happened hours ago," and ran off. Like a leprechaun in the night.
Yeah.
Half an hour later, Johnny arrived at his other sister's apartment, and she was shaking and terrified of something, but refused to say what happened.
He was. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny was all upset, but wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Just a rumor.
What is happening
So this
in
is a
Coos
story
County
of
during the week of the
rumors.
fair? It is shenanigans happening.
Don't go to Coos County Fair.
Yep. So 3 months after, 3 months with no activity movement on the case, the Coos County Sheriff's Department was finally contacted Unsolved Mysteries and asked for them to help in the search.
So was this in 1988? I didn't catch the year. I forgot.
Let me, I believe so. 1986.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Update.
Ready for my update.
Almost every person that at one point believes that they knew what happened that night has died.
Okay.
Several of the friends were in a car accident, died.
We got a conspiracy on our hands.
The main kid, Johnny or whatever, died. Several people were arrested that were a part of this group for murder and other crazy things in Coos County.
Are you saying that?
It seems like this was not such a great group of people around this kid, unfortunately. So I was also confused as to why he was living in Grants Pass, but the majority of his family was from Myrtle Point.
Probably to get him away from his...
Yeah, so
bad
the
crowd.
mother and father were not on speaking terms anymore. This was his stepdad. They were in the process of divorce. She had left and taken him and his sister to Grants Pass. She was going to school full time and was trying to basically like kind of distance herself from the life there in Myrtle Point. And these kids had grown up going to the fair every year. It sounds like they had a handful of family out in that way. So to her, she was in school full-time and working full-time. The kids were out from school for the summer to spend a week at their stepdad's, and these family members to go to the fair that they had done most of their life didn't seem like a terrible idea. She's interviewed multiple times and has done all kinds of news reports like that. Obviously, this is the biggest regret of her life.
Clearly, unfortunately.
So, officially, this is unsolved.
Officially, the case is still open?
It's still open. There has only been one person of interest ever named in this case, but he died over a decade ago. So, this is half the problem. So, The World Report, the name of a magazine, reported that Jeremy was last seen in a car with a man named Terry Lee Steinhoff. Okay. Steinhoff died in prison in 2007. He was serving a life sentence for murdering a woman from Coos County. All right. Local sheriff said that they tried to talk multiple times to him about Jeremy's disappearance. However, he never was forthcoming on anything. They've conducted several searches. The Steinhoffs own a huge piece of property that is like typical Oregon wilderness. And from my understanding, for a long time, it was a dumpster fire of a place. Abandoned cars and trash and just a nightmare.
Kind of sounds like that. To make a murderer their property.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They've searched the property, including like a pond in 2016 where police believe Jeremy's body could have been dumped. No searches to date have been successful.
So they're still trying here.
Okay, so yeah, I actually watched a news report from the local news station there, and People Magazine also did a story on this. So we're coming up now on what, like 30-something years on this.
36 years.
36 years.
Or 30.
They did a news report where they went out with the sheriffs there, and the sheriff showed them the property that they had searched. They actually showed the case file, like this huge, because Coos County, it's a tiny, tiny little town. I'm sure they have their fair share of lots of crimes dealing with theft and drugs and all kinds of stuff that you get in these kind of small towns, especially on the Oregon coast. But this case seems to now hang over the heads of a lot of the current law enforcement people. They said that if they get any tips, no matter how big or small, they go and do their due diligence. They've said they've searched from Bridge to Medford to Grants Pass, so basically we're at the I-5 corridor all the way through to the coastline. They've gotten multiple tips and reports of potential issues or bodies or signs of anything, and they track them all down. And so they said, if you know anything or you remember anyone ever talking about this or anything, to please call the Coos County Sheriff, and they will look into it.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, I mean, People Magazine did an article on this. And like I said, the local news, the mom, I believe, is still alive, and she's very active and still speaking about this and talking about this case. His younger sister's still actively talking about it. Most of the people that were with him that night at the fair have all since passed away. So the list of people who might know something is getting smaller and smaller. So, all right, Ben.
All right, mystery still.
Yeah.
All right. Our next story is about a Lee County sheriff named John Martin. His murder. November 4th, 1988. John Martin, who was a 17-year veteran, is 39 years old, is doing his rounds, working the night shift, and he notices a parked car in the back of the parking lot of the Lee County Health Clinic.
So somewhere a car probably shouldn't be parked at.
Well, the health clinic is closed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, they tell us he calls it in at 2:58.
A.M. Yeah, okay.
2:58 a.m.
There's no reason for this vehicle to be parked there.
Yeah, no reason. It's suspicious. And as a good police officer, clearly he was.
Yeah.
He's like, he calls it in. He says, hey, I got this car parked. I'm going to check it out. See what's going on.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. As he pulls up to the vehicle, it actually starts to drive away. And he says, hey, the car's leaving on me. But in the driveway, they say about halfway up the driveway, the car does stop. He lights it up. It stops. And that's the last radio dispatch.
Communication over the radio.
From this deputy. So they tried to call him and can't get anything. So I'll get this. I'm huge props to this county. They're trying to call him, like, what's going on, because they understand traffic stops are
traffic
super
stops are one of the most dangerous things you can do in law enforcement. Yeah.
They don't get an answer, so they send an officer. They said the closest officer was 7 miles away, or closest deputy, and they sent him there, and it was Douglas Parsons is the deputy that shows up.
Okay.
And he finds Officer Martin on the ground. And what it appears is that Officer Martin approaches the vehicle, and as he approaches the vehicle, the guy shoots him 3 times. Officer Martin, Deputy Martin, returns fire from his revolver, all 6 shots.
Okay.
But he's wounded pretty bad. So they call, it's not an ambulance. Did you catch what they called it?
No.
A rescue squad.
Oh.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Fancy, a rescue squad.
A rescue squad. He calls a rescue squad, obviously, right away. But he says, Deputy Parsons says, hey, I know it looked pretty bad. So he's just trying to get information from him about what he knows.
Yeah.
And what he can tell him. And Martin, dude, this guy's awesome. As he's laying there, shot 3 times, he gives all kinds of information.
Yeah.
Tells him that the guy's in his mid-20s. The reason he says, the reason he never called in the tag is because the tag wasn't on the back of the vehicle. It was in the window, so he couldn't see it until he got up to the car. But by the time he got up to the car, he'd been shot. says that it had a dealer tag, tells him that. The guy was in his mid-20s, had a mustache. Said it was a large style vehicle, Buick, light brown or tan. And he says probably within the years of 1970 to 77. And then he also says he noticed the tag said Land of Lincoln, which means that it was from Illinois. Because this is in Lee
Tag
County.
is license plate, right?
What's that?
Tag means license plate?
Yes.
Okay.
This is in Lee County, Virginia.
Okay.
So he gives him all this information while he's dying. Mm-hmm. Dude, what a stud.
Yeah, he basically gives them the roadmap to bring his death to justice as he's dying.
Yeah. And I will say, I was thinking about this. It's like, we've come a long way in the world because now, as police officers, as law enforcement, and militaries in the same way, like, we now train people to do basic first aid. Clearly, like, this deputy was so concerned
I see what
about
you're
getting
saying.
this information
Okay.
and calling the rescue squad.
Yeah.
You know, but now
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're right. He did not have probably the training or the ability to render
or the resources
or the resources for
the
life
stuff to
saving
carry
aid.
stuff. Not to say that would have done anything, but I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, like, because this officer's most important thing, and there's nothing wrong with this, was trying to get the information to make sure he can catch this guy that did it to him.
Yeah.
Now, I think the first thing was you grab your, as we call it, an IFAC kit, and you start trying to treat as much as possible until that.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he was doing whatever he could, but there's much more. They give that training much more to try to say, hey, if it can give you a little bit of time. So that's pretty much our story. So
Yeah.
that's where Robert Stack tells us, like, hey,
They go back over the information that
this is what
the deputy
told
said.
him.
Yeah.
I mean, this officer, he was rushed to the hospital, fell into a coma that evening, and died a couple days later. He did pass away, obviously.
I know, leaving his wife and children.
Yeah. I think they said he had 4 kids.
Yeah.
Several kids. They interviewed his wife. He was a good-looking dude.
Yeah, he was.
He was a very good-looking guy. I always say that because he was 39. And 39-year-olds can be good-looking dudes. And
39-year-olds can be good looking. Let the record show.
yeah. I
40 though? Ooh. Touch and go.
Watch your mouth. I just it's a sad story. It breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does. It's a little close to home for sure.
But anyways, so we actually get an update right away.
Yeah.
From Robert Stack. It turns out on November 5th, so the very next day after this had happened, Illinois. Do you want to hear what was this? Trying to find. I wrote it down. The town in Illinois. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, sorry.
Was it a funny name?
It was. It really
All right,
was.
whoever is out there in Illinois, let us know your...
I did write it down.
Okay.
Effingham.
Effingham?
Effingham, Illinois. Effingham.
I
thought that was so
That is a fun name to say.
Yeah. Effingham, Illinois police had impounded a car that was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
The next day. They come to find out, like, hey, we think this might be connected. I don't know how they were able to make the connection. They called the Lee County Sheriff's Office. Like, hey, we got this vehicle. It might match what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. It was burnt to a crisp. It was a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
Guess where it was stolen from? From a dealer.
Oh, was it really?
That sheriff was on it.
Oh, yeah, because he said it was like a brand
He said
new...
it was a dealer tag.
Yeah.
And they asked, well, does it have a bullet hole in the door? And I said, yeah, it does.
As a matter of fact, it does.
So they tie this vehicle being stolen to a man called David Wayne Mills. They find out he was the one that stole it. They search his home. They said they found evidence. They don't give us a lot of what they found. They found evidence at his home. He comes home they arrest him. He admits to being present for the shooting.
Yeah.
But says, I didn't do it.
It wasn't me.
An accomplice did it. I'm like, listen,
What
if
were
there
those-
was two
What
people...
were those boys doing in the back of a hidden parking lot in the middle of the night?
Don't you think all this information this awesome deputy gave, you think he left out that there was two people, not just one?
Oh, yeah. I was
Really?
just insinuating that the windows were fogged up. I mean,
No,
why?
get
I
outta here.
would never imagine being in the back of a parking lot in the middle of the night.
No.
No.
Get out of here. So he admits it, but he says someone else did it. They extradite him in January back to Virginia. Turns out that he gives information. They find the gun. I guess they found it at his grandfather's house. Matched the ballistics. It's the gun that killed the police officer. And he's charged and convicted of first-degree murder. Sentenced to life plus 15 years.
I always love when they do that, like a little salt. Life plus a little sprinkling of extra to make sure you never get out.
So I did
It
look
was a
him...
completely senseless crime.
Yeah.
I mean, we never find out why he killed him.
Well, guess what? It comes out in the trial. I looked up more because I was
Yeah.
is this guy's still alive? He actually is. December of 2023, I looked through the Virginia records for parole and saw his records. He was up for parole and he was denied due to the heinous of his whatever.
Yeah, he's not getting out.
He's been up for parole several times. I just want you to know, I had to look through 93 pages from the Virginia Parole Board to find this guy's name, just to see if... I actually just didn't want to see... They will tell you if there's 3 people on the board. If all of them voted, I was curious if anyone was like kind of pushing. No one's pushing for him to get parole. But supposedly, I guess he's stolen that car. They were at the clinic and they were going to rob it, or he was going to rob it. And then he got spooked by the police officer pulling behind him, so he freaked out and shot him. So
completely
just random.
I mean, he would have gotten in trouble for a stolen vehicle, but that's way
not
better
doing a
than
life
murder.
sentence. Yeah.
Just don't do murder, people. It's not that difficult.
Anyways, that's our story
Okay.
of Deputy John Martin.
All right. Well, I am going to tell you about a man named Leo.
Man named who?
Leo. Leo was possibly in the mob. Actually, I know he was in the mob.
What's that?
But the mob.
Oh, he's 100% in the
Yeah.
mob. This is a total mob
Okay,
story.
so his last name is... I literally wrote how to sound this out, and now I can't even, understand. Koury.
Cooley.
Cooley?
Kouly. Cooley.
R-Y.
Curry.
Kuri?
Corey.
You guys. I'm terrible with reading names. Okay.
I'm not great at it either.
No, you're way better than I am. Okay, so the top of this episode, and again, I was told once again very poorly. We're at March 19th, 1975. A bodyguard and a bouncer named Chuck Kernanham was reportedly murdered in his home in Richmond, Virginia. His body was placed into a steamer trunk driven to the Rappahannock River.
Please say that again. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say it again.
Dang it.
Just pronounce it one more time. I don't think anyone caught it.
I was hoping just to breeze right over that.
No, we're not breezing over that.
Rappahannock.
Hancock?
It's Rappahannock.
You can spell it for me all you want.
Rappahannock.
Rappahannock.
Hannock. Rappahannock.
I don't know.
Something.
You tell me.
I don't know.
All right.
Anyways, this is a river. Okay. His steamer trunk with the body inside is weighed down with a bumper from a 57 Chevrolet. No further information on that.
I just
And
wanna,
thrown off the side of a boat.
Where did they come up with this
Oh,
information?
this information is based on police informants.
But then they don't even tie this to anything
Exactly.
later on.
Body's never been found.
So
That's
do they
how the
even
top
know?
of this story happens.
This is how they start the story.
Yes. And you're like, okay, we're going to come back to this, I'm assuming, because
No.
Unsolved Mysteries does this. They kind of show us sometimes like the end of it, and then we go back and we go forward. You guys?
So you guys probably are thinking right now that the story we're about to tell you
Has
is the
something
backstory of the murder of this guy that got thrown into the river.
body's never been found.
Has never been found. And we're telling you right now, this guy's death has nothing to do with the story you're about to hear.
No.
Except for maybe the man
Potentially maybe
that
tied
potentially
to
is
it.
responsible for his death.
Not even his death personally, as far as
No,
that.
it is the most... It's a weird story.
It's a weird story, and it's
a
very
weird way that they
specific that
wanna
this
tell
man
us.
was put into this weird named river, weighed down with a bumper from a 57 Chevrolet, which to me is a weird thing to weigh. A bumper is maybe a little heavy, but not that heavy.
Oh, it's a 57 Chevy, a 50s. It's nothing but a massive chrome bumper. Nothing is big and heavy.
Oh, you would know more than I just assumed it was a car bumper, and I don't think my bumper is going to weigh down a whole steamer trunk for...
Not the bumper on your minivan. That thing is plastic. That thing would float.
Exactly. That's what I was picturing in my head. What a weird thing to anchor this thing down with.
You're thinking they came across this Honda Odyssey
Well, no, but
and just ripped the plastic bumper off.
how did they know that it was from a 57 Chevrolet?
That was the same
And I
question
just
I had.
assumed that it was just a plastic bumper
Well,
like
how
all
do
of
you
the
know
other
this
ones.
all happened if you never find it?
Again, great.
But this has nothing to
This
do
story
with
could
the
not
story.
be true.
All right,
Also,
can
this
we
could
get
be
to
completely
the actual
made up.
story?
Yes, okay. So Chuck's body's never been found. Don't ask any more questions. That's not why we're here.
Don't wonder about
We're not
Chuck.
looking for it right now.
We're not looking for Chuck.
However, authorities believe that Leo might be responsible for this guy's contract killing. During this time, Leo was a softball coach, a church volunteer, a loving husband and
No,
father,
he was an umpire.
and a member of the American Legion. Many who knew him were surprised to learn of his alleged criminal activities.
They were surprised to find out he was part of the mob.
Yeah. Okay?
Okay.
And not just any mob. The mob that he was a part of gets crazy real quick.
They don't say mob, though. We're saying mob.
Yeah. Well,
But everything they're telling us, I'm like, this is the
in
mob.
the side research I did, he gets the name the godfather of like the gays. And that'll make
No, I know.
it'll make sense in a second. I'm not trying to be, that is like what he was described at in multiple news articles. So, backstory on Leo. Leo is a successful restaurant owner who was not just fiercely competitive, but like
Cutthroat.
legitimately cutthroat competitive. He was one of the first people to ever open a nightclub in Richmond that caters to the gay community.
So we're in Virginia? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And Richmond, Virginia, at this time, you could be turned away at a nightclub or a bar or an adult establishment, even if the bouncer suspected that you were a homosexual. So they did not have a lot of places that they could come together as a community and spend time. And I read two different things on this that I think bring up really good points. One, that Leo took advantage of this. I guess he charged outrageous cover charges to come to his nightclubs and bars, and like the drinks there were insanely expensive. And then the flip side of it was that he provided a place for these people to be able to spend time together and to be able to socialize. Take from that. I thought that was a really good point that the person brought up. So take from that what you will. However, the way he dealt with competition, which I didn't realize in the world of restaurants and bars, that there could be this much competition. He legitimately sent like his thugs, is what they call it on Unsolved Mysteries, in to terrorize patrons at other establishments that were in competition with his clubs.
His restaurant.
His restaurant and his nightclubs.
So, I went on a spree a couple years ago about the mob. I got really into the mob.
Did you listen to anything about this?
I listened to a bunch of podcasts.
Okay.
I read a book called The Five Families.
Uh-huh.
And that's mostly about the New York mobs.
Okay.
Okay. So when they were telling this, I was like, this is my theory from the, and I'm not trying, should I say that I'm a self-proclaimed expert on the mobs?
Why not?
No, I'm not, people. I am not an expert on anything.
Ben's lower third right now says mob expert.
No, but I got super interested in it, watched some documentaries. Anyways, whatever. One of the mob tactics was they would go around to businesses and they would say, hey, it's a dangerous place out here, isn't it? You should probably pay us for protection.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to get harassed, would you? And
I see. Okay.
And if businesses wouldn't pay, then guess what they do?
So is your theory on this that...
Yep, that's my theory.
Okay, that's your theory on this. Okay, they don't say that...
It wasn't that he was like, I just want to be successful, I want you...
Well, because I'm thinking, okay, first off, Richmond, Virginia, we're not in the town of podunk nowhere where there's 2 restaurants and...
That's my theory. Is
the competition is... No one's going to eat at the same place every single night. Like, there is enough patrons to go around, but that makes a little bit more sense.
That was a massive mob tactic. It was, I mean, it's your racketeering, your whatever the word is. Like,
yeah.
You're forcing people to pay you for protection, but it really wasn't. It was just to pay you to not harass you and your business or your family, things like that. It was a mob business.
Yeah.
Big time. So they would come around once a month and you would pay them whatever the fee was. I don't know.
Yeah. So this guy, Leo, sent in on January 15th, 1977, 2 of Leo's quote unquote thugs shot multiple patrons at the mailbox, M-A-L-E box. I love the play on that word. Restaurant. 1 man, Albert Thomas, was killed and several others were injured. So this was like a mass shooting. They went in with like shotguns and killed patrons of this establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ton of news articles and stuff about this case in particular.
Yeah.
So this investigation opens up that Leo was the center of an extensive racketeering enterprise. In other words,
mob.
Yeah.
Money laundering. Because it's
he
not
ran
even
a
local.
quote organization whose primary income was through illegal purposes.
Mob.
Which would be fraud,
mob.
Extortion,
mob,
and murder.
Mob. Extortion. That's the money. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
Okay, what is the word racketeering mean? Do you know?
That's a great question.
I was going to look it up, and I was like, no, I don't think that Ben knows what racketeering is either.
Well,
is racketeering like the mixture of all of these things into one enterprise, making money off of it? I thought racketeering was like a pyramid scheme, like Bernie Madoff sort of thing. But
could have been.
Could have been. It's just one of those words that's thrown around a lot that I will be honest, I don't really know what it means.
Mob.
So, and here's the other thing that makes me think it's obviously they said the mob. The FBI is involved. This isn't local Virginia
That's what I
police
said.
officers. We
And
get the FBI involved in this.
The FBI agent is telling us. The guy's so vague. Doesn't want to tell us anything. But I'm like, clearly you want something, but you refuse to say anything.
Yeah. Because at this point, we still don't even know why we're here.
Well,
We don't know what the mystery is at this
you're
point.
telling us supposedly these guys, which you tell us is not him.
Yeah.
But supposedly you know they work for him.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't tell us how you know that.
Yeah.
What ties you have.
Yeah.
All you tell us is that he's a restaurant owner with an organization of guys that are super loyal. He says that.
Yeah.
Super loyal to him that refuse to talk. I'm like, dude, just tell us they're the mob.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they tended to like put the pressure on, and I'm sure this included blackmail of vulnerable groups such as the local gay community. I am sure that he was aware of who was in and out of those clubs and who did not want to be known to be in and out of those clubs. And he would target them for scams and extortion and to do kind of his dirty business. Yeah. So, October 1977 rolls around, and he asks a gentleman named Eddie to make a hit on another restaurant owner named Jim Hilbard. His scheme backfired, however, when authorities found Eddie hiding outside Jim's home.
So this is my other theory on the mob.
Yeah.
Why we 100% know this is the mob. So in the mob, you have what's called made men. You have your boss.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this small circle called you're a made man. And then after that, you just have people that work for you, that help you run your organizations, whatever scheme you've come up with.
Yeah.
But these guys that work for you, they never really know what's happening in the inner circle. They're not allowed.
Okay.
But to be a made man in the mob, you have to kill someone.
Okay.
You got to perform a hit for the family.
Okay.
That's what I think this was. I am totally throwing out a guess.
Okay.
But I think this kid got his opportunity to be a made man in this guy's mob organization, and now he was supposed to kill that guy, and he failed miserably.
Yeah, because again, it was like a little confused. We get no information about what the beef was or anything.
Yeah, that's why because they don't tell us why he wanted or why he used this kid to do it. Mm-hmm. My only theory, and again, I'm throwing a theory out.
Yeah.
Is that he was giving this kid an opportunity. I'm going to guess he probably worked for him, did some jobs for him on the side, but for his opportunity, because they already tell us that he has this really tight group that won't talk. Like,
yeah.
Well, that's mob mentality 101. You are never allowed to talk.
First
especially if once you're a made man.
Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club like that.
Yeah, once you're a made man, you can't. And so, but to be in that circle.
Okay, well, this guy's found hiding in the bushes outside of the house.
He was really bad at it.
He's not good at it. And then he immediately confesses to the police and names Leo as the man who hired him.
He wouldn't have been a good made man because he's willing to talk.
He's real quick is turning the tables because no one else at this point has like given Leo up. They have nothing on him.
Yeah, no one's willing to talk.
Mm-hmm. And he said that Leo wanted Jim dead to remove him from the competition of the restaurant business world.
Cutthroat, man.
So was Jim maybe part of something else other than another restaurant? I don't know.
No
We get no more information on Jim. So Eddie agrees to work with the FBI, is equipped with a hidden microphone, and the FBI secretly records a conversation. During the conversation, he tells him not to tell anybody about their, quote, business. Based on the surveillance tapes on October 31st, 1978, Leo was indicted by a grand jury on various charges, including murders of Chuck and Albert, And now we finally find out while we're here. He vanishes from the area on October 30th. The day before, which makes me think he had someone on the inside.
100%.
The day before the indictment was made.
From the FBI, he decides to cut loose.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy had an informant in the FBI.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't think that's a mystery.
No, that's not the mystery. April 20th, 1979, he is placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and has been on the run ever since. Since his disappearance, Leo has been spotted all up and down the East Coast, Brazil, and the Middle East.
I want to know who spotted him in the Middle East.
Yeah. What a weird, what? Okay, so that's where the show leaves us.
So this isn't a mystery. This is America's Most Wanted again.
This story was also featured on America's Most Wanted.
That's shocking.
Okay, do you want to know the update?
I do.
Technically, it is solved.
Okay, hold on. Before you tell us the update, because I kind of know some of the update.
Okay.
The best part is the FBI agent comes on and he tells us he's pretty certain he knows where he is.
Yeah.
Where does he say he knows where he is?
Shoot, I can't remember.
Florida.
Oh, Florida. That's right.
He
I was
says,
like, everyone ends
"I'm
up in
very
Florida.
certain."
Oh, that's right. I'm very certain he's in
Florida. And he's involved in the drug
And
trade.
he's committing crimes in Florida.
With drugs.
Yeah, he's in the drug trade world in Florida. He's pretty sure.
Yeah, that's the last you hear from the FBI agent. Now give us our update.
Okay.
Where was he?
He was in San Diego and actually lived a pretty clean, normal life after he left. Did not get involved with anything.
Well, I'm sure he did.
Well, no, I mean, so...
Most criminals continue to be criminals.
So June 16th, 1991, a man had fallen into poor health, and his name was William Franklin Babel.
I'm sorry, say that again. We all didn't catch that.
My dyslexia caught up with me. It's not Babel, it's Battle. Biddle. Biddle.
Where'd you get battle?
I saw the back. I saw
on the battlefield?
D's. I saw the D's as B's. So Bab, B-A-B-B. That's what I read it as, even though it's B-I-D.
We're all
You guys,
confused. Could you tell us his name, his fake name again?
You guys, I cannot explain what happens in my head when I... Especially after reading for
Sierra
a long
does
time.
have diagnosed dyslexia.
Yeah. That's lost on nobody that's listening to this.
But I'm sorry. I seriously, though, I didn't catch his name.
William Franklin Biddle.
Biddle.
Just
you
a
sure
little
about
Biddle.
That? You want to give it another go?
No, William Franklin Biddle.
Okay.
Okay. His friend took him to the Valley View Community Hospital in San Diego, California. The next morning, he died of a cerebral hemorrhage brought on by high blood pressure. He was a little too stressed out. Needed to get his breathing techniques under control. The San Diego County Public Administrative Office was put in charge of searching for the next of kin. They had learned that he had been living in East San Diego for about 10 years.
So he was never in Florida.
No. And worked part-time.
Or the Middle East.
He worked part-time at a nearby convenience store just as a clerk. He claimed he was retired from the International Red Cross.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
I love that he picked some organization that's on the you're a good person if you work for the Red Cross. And had just a little disability pension, just living a chill life in San Diego. However, a search of his apartment turned up no clues at any potential family members. 5 days later, the county office received a call from Leo's nephew, who said that he had learned from a quote-unquote anonymous caller, Mop,
Mob.
that Leo had died and wanted to claim the body. He said that he might be able to use different names since he was a wanted fugitive in Virginia, and gave the employee Leo's physical description. She realized that this gentleman was actually Leo. She contacted the FBI, and this wasn't in the thing. They made a positive identification through fingerprints and have officially closed the case. He was 56 at the time of his death. Mob turned store clerk. Living a quiet, peaceful life in San Diego. You know what? There is no better place to just chill out. If I could live in San Diego and work as a store clerk part-time and just be at the beach all day, it's not a bad way to live in your golden years.
Let's go. Let's quit all of this.
Leave it all behind.
Let's leave it all behind. Let's get out of
So
here.
there you go. That is the story of your organized restaurant business owner who also was
He's
into
a mob
racketeering.
He was a mob man.
Yeah.
Mob boss.
Yeah,
Could
he
we
was
call him
head.
a mob boss?
He was head, which is probably the only reason why he was able to disappear. I feel like anyone else in the mob that tries to get out usually doesn't make it very far.
Okay.
All right, Ben.
So are we going to save our ghost story for last?
Yeah, I'll do the. So you're going to tell us the next two
I'll
stories.
give you the next two. So you're
Yeah.
going to have to listen to me
All
twice
right, I'm going to
here.
get comfortable.
All right.
Sit back.
Dude, this next story was so hard to watch. It is so boring.
I agree.
So boring. Do you guys all want to be super bored? Well, get ready. Don't be driving. All
You
right.
might fall asleep.
Okay, we got a story about Dan Willems.
Mm-hmm.
He's a prospector. Yep, you heard that right. Prospector. I don't know if he played the banjo, but he was a Canadian prospector. And this mystery is actually a mystery of no heir. And he's got all this money, so we don't know who to give the money to.
Someone needs to claim this money.
Yeah, he's got all this inheritance that he's got no one to give to.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan Willems supposedly came to Ontario, Canada in 1925. We actually get to talk to some of his old buddies, Alec Mosher and Joe Perkins. They tell us about
the good old days.
Oh, he was a great man. They used to sit around, they'd play cards and prospect. Joe tells us he was a gentleman's gentleman. What is a gentleman's gentleman? I mean, if you're not a gentleman, let's say you're a gentleman.
Okay.
But you're above a gentleman. You're a gentleman. A gentleman's
Gentleman.
What is that?
It's obviously something that's unburdened by what has been burdened.
Okay. But you know what? These guys, they don't know who he is. You know, they're friends. They dig gold. They dig for gold together. But we don't
What
know.
happens while prospecting stays out with the
But
prospecting.
he doesn't want to talk about his past. It's a mystery.
It always is.
I just don't understand. Like, who want... Anyways.
Ben, here's the thing. The best thing is that you're annoyed about this. I have asked you so many times when you've come home from hanging out with your friends or anything like, so what's this? And how's this? And how did the... And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't ask about that?
No.
No. Do you know anything about this?
No.
No. So you can't give these guys
I'm not.
a hard time that they
I
don't
just think
know
it's funny
anything
that
about
now
his
they're
past.
coming forth like, I didn't know anything about him. Like, well, of course you didn't know anything about him. Who wants to talk about their past and all of that all the time?
I know all of my friends' past.
That's weird. I don't even remember mine half the time. Anyways, moving on. So his partner was Bill Koshner, and someone else came to him. And this is sometime, we actually don't even know. I'm going to guess sometime in the 20s. And says, hey, listen, I hear there's gold around Red Lake.
There's gold up in them hills.
And they've staked claims around this lake.
Have you looked into like staking claims and stuff like that? It's a whole thing. You can't just go pan for gold.
No, you cannot.
And if you do, and it's somebody else has a claim that, but you can stake claims on land that you don't own.
Yeah, you got to go through and get them.
Through
I don't know a lot about it, but in some of the area I work in, it
yeah,
used to be
yeah, so we're in southern
mining.
Arizona, so they have done mining and stuff like that
There's this
here.
tiny little town. It used to
Mm-hmm.
be a pretty bustling town, but now there's only
There's
one person that lives there.
yeah.
That's it. It's not really a town anymore, obviously. It's abandoned, but it used.
There's one resident still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the mayor.
Voted in by 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, good for him.
Anyways, but there's a lot of old mining shafts in that down there, and but you can still try to stake claims.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah,
Anyways.
it's lost on me how it. I don't know anything about it, but I always find it weird that like this is around a public lake and they are staking claims on it.
So they travel the 850 miles to this area, and they stake a bunch of claims around this lake. Guess what? They find gold.
Mm-hmm.
They strike it rich, and this becomes a pretty.
This like turns into a whole town because of this. Yeah.
And it becomes a big community. There's a big.
Did you look and see if this town is still around today?
No.
What's it called?
Red Lake Community.
Red Lake Community.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Anyway, so this whole mining business pops up. They end up mining at that time $45 million worth of gold, which they say in 1988 is worth $1 billion. So it becomes a booming mining operation.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think Dan wants anything to do with it? No.
No, he
likes the quiet life. He likes to continue.
Yep.
He likes to continue to pan for gold. So he just kind of leaves the town and he keeps finding new places to stake claims and keep panning for gold. And then we hear about.
This is still a cute little town.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I mean, like you think of like the towns here that were mining towns or they've all dried up. But this town still, according to the Canadian 2016 census, has a population of about 4,000 people.
Yeah, that's great. Probably not a lot of gold left.
No, probably not.
But then we get told about Dan's double life.
Yeah, I was
life?
expecting double life to be legit a real double life.
This is not a double life. This is not real. I'm so sorry. This is so boring. He has this double life of being a gentleman of culture.
No, once a year he took a month off.
Oh, it gets good. He would take a month.
Yeah.
And rent an entire floor in the King Edward Hotel in Toronto and invite his friends, and he would lavish them with champagne.
Yeah, he'd take a month off from living out in the freaking outback of Canada in the bush and would enjoy the good life, enjoy his spoils.
Yeah.
That's not a double life. That's just, to me, that seems like a man who preferred to be kind of out by himself, and this was what he did.
I thought it was funny because they interview his friend and they're like, no one knew about this double life he had. He just was so mysterious about it. I'm like, really?
He invited all of his friends to stay at the hotel
people.
and like lavished them with the fancy champagne.
Yeah. I'm kind of pretty certain that people knew about it.
Maybe he was just mad he wasn't invited.
Probably. Anyways, in 1936, Dan, poof.
Yeah, he goes out.
He goes out to
he's
do
in the
something
Canadian wilderness, and he's never seen again. Yeah, he
pan
said
for
he was
gold.
going up to his cabin or something and is never seen again.
Yeah, and his partner, Bill, comes looking for him, can't find him, and they never see him again.
Yeah.
We have no idea what happens. And his estate at the time...
Oh, I didn't do... Okay, let me...
That's okay. You know what? I kind of don't care. His estate at the time is valued at $71,000, and then he proceed to tell us during the 80s it's worth $100,000. Like, wow, that didn't grow very much.
Yeah.
But Bill actually says he owns like a bunch of stocks or what it.
Yeah,
or
he owns shares.
shares in this mining company of this town that they say is worth, in 1943, because I guess that's when Bill came back with the shares. So 7 years after he disappeared, at that time it was worth $850,000, and they say it's worth $3 million in the 80s. I'm gonna guess
That's,
8.2 million today.
yeah. I didn't do an inflation
That's okay,
calculator.
because I don't care. Yeah. So he has all this wealth that they have no one to pass it on to.
Yeah, so they are looking for somebody to give all of this money to.
And we get his friends. They tell us some theories. They think he either got lost, which they don't. They have no idea. I love the one story they tell. They think that he got killed during a poker game. The best part is his friend says, when you get money in losers, especially when losers lose money, bad things happen. Like, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Great job. But his
Somebody
one friend...
put that on a T-shirt so
Yeah.
we can remember it by, yeah.
Yeah, but Joe tells us he doesn't think he died or he got lost. He just he went back to England, because I guess that's where supposedly he was from. We really don't know. And took his social place in life. That's what he tells us.
Yeah, he just took off to England and joined high society.
Yeah, so the public trustee of Ontario now is holding this money, and they're looking for his heir. They bring in this heir investigator again. We get another guy supposedly that investigates people heirs. He thinks his real name is Dalton Thomas Willens, that it's not Dan Willens, but we don't really know how he comes up with that. So they're just trying to find out who to give this $3 million to, and I will give you my bank account number if you want.
If they're looking for someone...
Yeah, are you ready for your update?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first they interview a guy on Unsolved Mysteries who comes forward.
This is your update.
Oh, this is your update. Well, it didn't have a conclusion.
I know. I'm going to give you your update. Davy Willens, a businessman from New York,
who has a big grin on his face. Yeah, he is convinced that...
Well, I actually looked up this guy.
Okay.
So, Davy Willens, a New York businessman, sees it. He says that his father came across from England with another family member and a cousin, and they came to Ontario in 1895, and he thinks one of those family members is this Dan Willens.
There was some lure about
they don't know anything
this family
about
member kind
what
of just
happened to those family members. He
disappearing off into the wilderness.
He ends up going up to Canada, meeting with one of his friends, and they show pictures, and clearly the pictures look so much alike.
They look nothing alike.
Yeah, but guess what?
What?
Canada's not going to just give him $3 million.
I was going to say, when I was watching this, I was like, is he going to tell us he's going to get this money just because he's got this like family stories and pictures?
Turns out this money has never been given to anybody.
Shut up. It's still available?
As of what I could find.
All right, guys.
I actually don't know if it's still available.
There is potentially a fortune in Canada for someone if they can trace their ancestry back.
I looked up Dan Willens. I looked up on the...
Well, the problem was I thought they were trying to find a way to get this guy's DNA.
Yeah, but that never happened.
Okay.
Could never do it.
So how is anyone supposed to verify?
I don't know. I mean, I just think Canada's like, nah, we ain't going to give anybody this money. We want it ourselves. And
I wonder what the statute of limitations is on that before it becomes awarded to the country.
They probably all spent it. Justin Trudeau's got it. Anyways.
They got it on maple syrup and poutine. Is that what that's? Is that? Did I just make up that word? Is that what it's called? Isn't that what it's called, Ben? Is it called poutine?
We're going to move on here. I'm just going to let you try to figure that out.
I love the French fries with the cheese curds and the gravy.
Yes, I know what it is.
Is that what it's
I've
called?
Had it. It's delicious.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I just said a dirty word out on the internet.
Anyways, so this money, as from what I could find out, has never been released to anybody.
Okay.
I don't know if
Canada, let us know what you're doing with this money.
I don't think they're going to let anybody know because I think they already spent it. Anyways, I looked up this Davy Wellens. He worked for Pfizer, and he ended up being pretty high up in Pfizer. So I think he's doing okay.
Well, Pfizer stock went up pretty well a few years ago.
Well, he retired back in 2000.
He probably still had some shares.
But he got
company.
put in charge of their international stuff. He moved. He started as a sales guy.
Wow,
way back
good for him. Moved all the way up.
And he moved way up in the company. Clearly became very successful. So I don't think he's hurting for that $3 million. But yeah, I don't got it. That's it. That's all I got. That's the most boring story.
Womp-a-bomb. Okay.
Sorry to all bore you with that story.
All right. Next story.
Okay, you ready for this next one? This one is terrible. Boring, now terrible.
Ben, we want people to keep listening to our podcast.
They will.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, don't go anywhere yet because I have a ghost story to end us the night.
Well, that will lift everyone's spirits after this story.
All right.
Okay. This is a short story. I'm going to tell it real quick. This is the story of Michaela Garich. I think that's how you say it.
Did that have a question mark at the end of her name?
I think it's Garich. It's Garecht. Kind of a weird spelling.
Gariched.
She's 9 years old. On November 19th, 1988, she goes to her parents and says, "Can I have some money to go down to the little supermarket?"
The little mini mart.
It's 4 blocks away. And they say, yeah. They give her $5. And she and a friend, they tell her she cannot go alone. She's 9 years old. She has to go with her other friend. They ride their scooters. Did you see those scooters? Mm-hmm. Those things were awesome.
They were awesome.
They were the old school with the thick tires. They were awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, they ride their scooters down the 4 blocks to the market. Park their scooters outside the door and go inside. Get what they want. They come out and one of the scooters has been moved into the middle of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Behind a car.
I
Right?
hate that.
Yes, we all see this coming.
That.
But
yeah,
a 9-year-old
doesn't. Does not.
So Michaela goes over to get the scooter. Mm-hmm. As she is getting the scooter, a man jumps out of the car, grabs her, throws her in the back of the car, and drives off.
Yep.
And her friend sees all of it. Friend runs into the store, tells the clerk, tells someone in the store. They call the police right away. But Michaela is gone, disappeared.
Yeah.
We get Detective Ken Gross. He's interviewed. This was in Hayward, California.
Okay.
They bring the friend in, but obviously she was young too. I think they said they didn't say, but what I read, I think she was 9 also at the time.
Yeah.
She looks through pictures, doesn't identify anybody, but she does help make a composite sketch of him.
Okay.
One of the things that she did say, and this is pretty distinct, he had like pock marks on his face from, I'm guessing, like bad acne.
Smallpox or bad acne.
Yeah, something like that. And,
do you know who else had pock marks on his face?
I have no idea. If you're going to tell me some murderer, I have no idea.
No, it's not. It's a historical figure.
Abraham Lincoln?
Nope.
Who?
George Washington.
That's right, because he had smallpox.
Yeah. There you go. There's your fun fact to try to lighten the mood a little bit.
All right. So they just have it's an old style big vehicle, tan or brown. That's all they have. And they have this sketch and that of
so creepy looking guy and a creepy looking car
and a crazy random kidnapping story.
Literally just an opportunity that he saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready for your update?
Yes.
This guy is waiting for trial for this case. right now as we speak.
Yeah.
He's in prison.
So someone's been indicted, but this is still unsolved in the fact that it hasn't.
So a man named David Mich, M-I-C-H, was convicted of killing a 36-year-old woman in 1989.
Okay.
Sentenced to life in prison. Guess he pleaded guilty to that. So they still had the scooter, and they'd continued to be looking at this.
Okay.
They had gotten 2 prints off of the scooter, a palm print and a thumb print. And some tip had come in about, hey, you should look into this guy.
Yeah.
I actually think, so they looked into him earlier in 2018.
Okay.
And he was then charged for the murder of 2 women.
Good
An
night.
18-year-old and a 20-year-old. They were walking down the street and they were found killed in California. And they had DNA that linked him to this.
Yeah.
So he's then charged for these 2 women's murder. So
he murders somebody and then gets out, murders 2 more people.
These girls were murdered in 1986.
Okay.
It was earlier.
Yeah, earlier.
So
Got
he's
it.
already
Okay.
killed 2 people.
This guy is trash.
He's a serial killer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he gets linked to these 2 girls' murder.
Okay.
Then they look into him for this girl's and match his prints. So they're actually, this is, I were to say Hayward. I think it's Northern California. I don't know exactly where it is. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. They link all these murders together, and they're trying to charge him for all of these. Then the DA separates the murders. I don't know. Anyways, this has been going on. He got linked to the murder of Michaela in 2020.
Did they ever find her body?
No. I've been reading a bunch of news articles about this because it's fresh, right? There's a bunch of news articles coming out about this.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one article said they showed up. They had the evidence to get his DNA and all this other stuff, and he refused. And they're like, hey, we got a court order. And he just refused. And they like, okay, we'll come back. I'm like, dude, no, he's in prison. Yeah, it was weird.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, they got, clearly they already got it. They have his fingerprints. They've linked him to this girl's murder. But it's been going through the court system. He still hasn't gone to trial.
Mm-hmm.
From what I could read, he's, I think, right now on trial.
As of November 2024.
I think late October, the trial for the 2 girls that he murdered is going on.
Oh.
I found only one article. Clearly there's not like daily updates. There's true crime people that do the daily updates. No one's covering it.
Mm-hmm.
But from an article I read is that
well, there's several big cases going on right now that are all just wrapping up. The big one being, we got the P. Diddy stuff going on, and then we got Delphi. And there's a few other things that are going on, but yeah, it's interesting that.
Yeah, so they tried to put them all together, but they made them separate them. They're trying them for different at 2 different times, and
we're going to have to like follow along this case and see if we can.
As of right now,
dang, I wish we lived closer so we could go.
Absolutely not. No.
I love going. I used to go to court cases at the courthouse and watch them. I love being in court.
So he still has not gone to trial for Michaela's, but they have charged him for this murder. That is great news.
Yeah. And you know what? He sounds like a big flaming turd, so I can't imagine he's going to be any help. But I hope that with more light on this, that possibly they could find out where this sweet little baby is at so that they can return her home and let the family grieve and bury.
Well, and I don't want... This was one thing that was kind of frustrating, is from what I could read. Is originally they tried to tie all 3 murders because they were doing that brought extra charges of something. and they were going to try to leverage it. I guess, I didn't realize this, but doing that would have brought extra charges, extra punishments to the point of death penalty.
Even
supposedly.
in California?
I guess.
Wow. Hoping to
so
leverage that he would then maybe
give up the body of Michaela.
Got it.
A new DA was elected in, and guess what she did? Separated
Why?
the cases. And that was what one article I read. It's like, you literally
What
just
was
got
the
rid
point?
of the leverage they
Yeah.
could use to try to find this. Here's the thing. I don't know what her reasoning was. Maybe she had a good reason. I don't know. I'm not here to sling mud at anybody. I have no idea because
I
I'm
would
not an
love to
expert
hear
on
her
these
excuse.
cases. I'm not an expert on these cases. I'm not an expert on what evidence they have. But as of right now, he's supposedly on trial, like I said, for the two. Still waiting for trial for Michaela.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got.
I hope that the DA doesn't decide to just drop that one, because they tend to do that sometimes where it's like, we've already spent enough of the taxpayers' money.
That would be terrible.
It would be terrible. Okay. Now that we've gotten that sad case out of the way, anyone that lives in that community or that county, go to the courthouse and see what's going on and let us know. I'd love to hear if anyone's out there, if they have, I'd love to get more eyes on that case just so that people are aware that this man, I mean, he is a serial killer who is currently being charged today for crimes committed how many years ago?
30-something
years ago. I would love to know, like, obviously DNA, fingerprints, the fact that that stuff is still being used to solve crimes.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, if you think between the years of 1986 and 1989, a 3-year period, this man is already being charged and tried for 4 murders.
Yeah. It makes you wonder who else is out there. Yeah. What else he did during that time. Because it seemed like, at least for the little girl and the 2 other girls, these were crimes of opportunity. I have a ghost story for you.
Oh, here we go. Do you think that if they think they tell us enough ghost stories that we'll just then believe?
I believe in these ghost stories.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go. Jim and Kay Tatum built a beautiful brand new house in the quiet suburbs near Atlanta, Georgia.
It did look like a beautiful neighborhood.
We're not going to give you guys any more information on the location of the house because at the time of filming, Jim and Kay are trying to sell their house and they do not wish to disclose the reasons why.
They surely ain't telling the new owners it's haunted.
Yeah, so there are a few things legally. Just real quick, I'm going to give you off the top.
Sierra, the real estate agents coming
You do
in.
have to legally disclose a handful of things. You cannot just choose to not disclose things when you're selling a home, at least here in the state of Arizona. However, you do not have to disclose things such as that the house is haunted. And this is actually crazy for people to find out. You don't have to disclose if anyone has died in the home.
There's a
Murder. There was not. This was a brand new house, but I just thought it was, my spidey sensors in real estate went up when they were like, we don't want people knowing, because I guess technically you do not have to disclose that you're selling your house.
Well, we already learned that
think it's haunted, but you do for lots of other reasons. But I guess they were free to not disclose that.
Everybody watches Unsolved Mysteries, so they didn't want to shorten their pool of
potential buyers. You know what though? There could have been, and I'm sure there is. There are people that seek out things like that. So maybe it could have been a selling feature.
I think you're right. There are people like that.
Oh yeah,
They're called
100%. You could sell a house based on the fact that you think it was haunted. I could sell a house like that based on that.
Yeah, they're called weirdos.
Okay, so the sweet little husband and wife couple are getting ready to enjoy their retirement. They want you to know that they are stable individuals.
Yes, we all know, everyone that tells a ghost story, there has to be a disclosure that I am a very sane, I am a great member of society. I'm
Okay,
a
well,
skeptic.
Jim was an army officer and Kay was an accountant.
I'm not saying they're not sane. I'm just saying every time we tell a ghost story, this is the disclosure that everyone has to tell us.
I just thought it was funny that up the top, they tell us that they are stable and reliable. Those were the words they chose to use.
And they're probably correct.
Okay. They had only lived in this brand new house for 5 months when they start experiencing a series of incidents that define explanation. Night 1, January 1986. Kay wakes up from a restless night of sleep. Not wanting to disturb her husband, Jim, she leaves the bedroom, tiptoe, 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 and hits up the bathroom first. While in the bathroom, we don't get a description of what she's doing in the bathroom, but I just picture who closes their bathroom door when they live by themselves or with their spouse. I picture she is like taking a tinkle on the toilet, and she sees a man walk past the open door of the bathroom.
She says she saw a shadow.
She said, and I quote, "It was definitely a man, and he was swinging his arms lightly." End of quote.
Okay.
He had his head slightly bent down and walked briskly past me. At first, I thought it was my husband, and then I went into the bedroom, and he was still in the bed, so I thought it was a burglar.
Fair.
Okay? I just, as I'm watching these shows where there's a ghost story, I try to put myself in this person's situation. If I am, it's the middle of the night, I'm frustrated that I can't sleep, I go into the bathroom, and I'm sitting there, half indisposed, taking a nighttime tinkle, and I see someone
Could you not use that word?
walk in front of the bathroom door, I'm not going to be chill or calm about this situation at all. Can you even imagine? What did you just knock over?
There's a basket underneath the table. I didn't knock it over. I just kicked it.
Can you imagine?
But do you remember that time? It was several months ago. So I get up really early to go to work. And I get up and I don't turn any of the lights on. I walk to the bathroom in the dark, which it's not far, obviously.
In our mansion, Ben has to get down the hallway.
Literally 5 feet. Okay.
Okay.
And I go in the bathroom, I close the door.
Uh-huh.
And then I turn the light on and I get ready for work. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I want you to tell your side of the story, and then I'm going to tell you my side of the story.
And I mean, it's 3 a.m. when I'm getting
It's the
up
middle
to
of
do
the
this. First thing I do is I go
Tinkle.
to the bathroom. Actually, I don't even know if it was me going to work, if it was just me getting up to use the bathroom also.
I thought you were, if you're thinking of the same incident as I am.
Anyways, sorry. I did not know that Sierra had already gotten up and was going to the bathroom.
Oh, this is a different
And I
story.
walk in the dark to go to the toilet, and Sierra's already there, and I don't see her because it's dark. And she says, "I'm here," and I almost punched her off of the toilet. It freaked me out. Like because in my mind when I got up, you were in the bed. Mm-hmm. I thought for sure, you were in the bed, and I was alone going to the bathroom to then find someone in my bathroom
Tinkling.
I almost sent you into the bathtub with a left hook. Anyways.
So I was thinking of so there's been several times that obviously Ben gets up and I have to, because we're almost 40 now, get up and use the bathroom in the night. And I don't want to go in there. So I'll go use the other one down the hallway. But I am, the moment I sit down to tinkle.
Could you stop using that word?
I'm petrified that I'm going to come around the corner at the same time that you're like walking into like the main part of the house. And same thing, you went in to take a shower with me in the bed. So you're not expecting a human being to walk around the corner. And that, yeah, you're going to do what a person would probably do, which is like deck somebody. And so I am always like literally like taking a wide girth around the corner. These are the things that systematically go through my head. And then I'll see that the bathroom door is still closed and I will like try to like rush in here really quick because I'm getting more and more anxious as I'm getting closer to the bathroom door that you are going to open that up at any second and we're going to just collide at the wrong time. But yeah, I forgot about the incident where we both ended up at the toilet at the same time. Okay, sorry. We're telling a ghost story that's not about us, but...
Well, that's not a ghost story.
Well, that wasn't a ghost, but Kay had a ghost story in her house.
Sorry, back to the man she saw that she thought was a burglar.
She sees a man walk across the door frame, thinks it's her husband, realizes that her husband's in bed, and instantly jumps to the conclusion that there's a burglar in the house. So we get a reenactment of Jim, because they're here, Jim and Kay are here, of him going... What is it called when you go through a house? When you're clearing
the house.
Clearing a house. He is clearing the house with his rifle, with his revolver in his hand, and he is acting for the stars right now.
I think it's great.
I loved it.
I'm here for it.
So Jim clears the house. No evidence of a burglar or that anyone had even been there. So he assumes that his wife is overreacting. She's got an imagination. Shortly after this incident, though, Kay begins to suspect that it may not have been a living person at all. Dun, dun, dun. So she recalls that she's laying in bed, trying to calm down, couldn't sleep, recalls one fact that she forgot to mention.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This man, while walking through the house, didn't make a single noise.
Okay.
So, it must have been a ghost.
So, it clearly, that's all the evidence you need.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now it's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
We've proven it's a ghost now.
2 months pass with no problems. Living life back to normal. However, one night,
ghost, no more
in
burglar.
March, Jim is working upstairs on a ladder that led to the attic. He stopped when Kay calls him down for dinner. As usual, he made sure to unplug the drill that he was working on because it was very old. Obviously, because it needed to be plugged in. They don't make those like that anymore.
I don't even think they made that in the 80s.
But that's what I mean. Like, that's how old this drill was. It had to be plugged in. And he was worried that it could be dangerous, so he unplugged it. So as the evening wears on, Jim decides he wants to watch a movie. And Kay's not really feeling up to a movie. She decides she wants to read one of her romance novels.
She doesn't say romance novels. You are adding that. Quit trying to paint this lady into something she's not.
In my mind, she is reading Casanova.
Do you think that it was one of those romance scenes with the guys on the
100%.
front with the open shirt?
Yes, absolutely.
And the wind is blowing in his hair.
She's the milkmaid and he is the
milkmaid?
farm boy.
What is a milkmaid?
I don't know. This is just the two people that came off my head.
So there's a milkmaid and a farm boy.
Yep, they're going to roll around in the hay. And Kay is going to read the story about it.
About two 20-something-year-olds. This 70-year-old woman.
So she is upstairs in the thralls of her romance novel.
She's not reading a romance novel.
An hour goes by, And she hears the sound of the drill outside the bedroom. She gets really ticked off and assumes at this point that her husband is teasing her, trying to pretend to be a ghost.
Well, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't try
So,
to tease her while she's reading?
She gets upset and goes out into the hallway and realizes that the hallway is empty and the drill is unplugged. At this moment, she says, quote, "I was really frightened, and I reached down and I felt it, and it was ice cold."
Ice cold.
It
like
had
it just
not
came out of the hand
been
of a
turned
ghost.
on. Unlike the romance novel.
Oh, my word.
Okay. So Jim at this point is confused by his wife's shenanigans. He feels that she, on one hand, is very level-headed and would not make this stuff up. But it's obviously unexplained things happening. So gradually, she starts to experience other phenomena. So one night, she hears the sounds of coins falling into a bowl. But she was alone in the room. Another time, while cooking, she felt 2 sharp tugs on her blouse. No one was around. Jim wasn't trying to get saucy with her. It was a ghost. He wanted to read the romance novel.
Do you think the ghost read the novel over her shoulder?
Yeah, the romance novel. After that incident, she decides there was a problem in the house. And the incidents seem to center solely around her. She's getting all the attention.
Clearly.
However, come February, Jim finally gets his first experience. As an early riser, he always got up hours before Kay.
I got so many questions about this.
When she wakes up, she would ring a bell that she kept by her bed.
I'm telling you right now.
I'm going to put a bell app on my phone, and I'm going to ring it.
Never going to happen. Ever.
Ben, I sleep in. Ben does not.
Yes. Well, that's when I'm hearing this. I'm like, oh, this is our life.
Yeah.
I am usually up
way earlier than anyone needs to be.
Sometimes several hours before you're up.
Oh, several hours, would you please? On days off, several hours?
Yeah, 100%.
No, 100% not.
Sunday, what would you sleep until, what, 10? I was up by 7:30.
I did not sleep until 10. My alarm on Sunday goes off at 8:55.
Anyways,
so
I'm up a while.
Get off your high horse.
I'm up a while before Sierra. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, like I understand this.
Mm-hmm. But I don't ring a bell. I just call you.
But if my wife had a bell.
I call you and say, babe, come cuddle me.
If you ring a bell to tell me you're awake.
I text you to tell you to come cuddle me. It's the same thing. True?
Sierra.
I text you, come cuddle me. It's 7 or it's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's never 7.
It is never 7.
It's something. Never. But so yeah, I don't have a bell, but I do text you to come in and hang out with me.
Anyways,
and then we watch Instagram reels and laugh. Okay. So he one morning hears the bell ringing, and he said he's so like used to the moment that bell rings to just like shimmy up those stairs. So he goes boom, 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 booking up those stairs. However,
she was still asleep.
She's still in bed. And this happens a few times. So they sit down and decide to make up a secret code.
Yeah.
They come up with a plan. They're going to outsmart the ghost. She would ring the bell 3 times if she needed him to come upstairs.
If it was her. Yeah.
The next day, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling. He's like, oh, there's Kay. She needs something. That's Kay. I know it. Goes up there. Kay is still asleep. And the bell is in the other room. It's not even in the same room that she's in.
We got a mystery.
We have a mystery. So this is where I will say Jim gets really freaked out telling us this story. He chokes up. He starts crying.
He says he leaves.
Yeah, that's it. He leaves, and as he leaves, the bell rings again. And this was like his line. It had been crossed. He was done. He says out loud, "No more bell. I'm not doing this anymore. Don't ring it, because if you do, I'm not coming."
Ain't coming.
Yeah.
Text me.
You up?
You awake? Do you remember when you used to do that with your friends? Like, when you have sleepovers, you'd be laying there or whatever, like, hey, are you awake?
Are you awake?
And they say, yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, of course they're awake.
Oh, the good old days. So, however, since he made that declaration that he wouldn't be acknowledging the bell anymore, it hasn't rung since. Ben just shoved a Rice Krispie treat into his mouth.
I told you, I want snacks while we do this.
That is rude.
I'm not chewing in the microphone.
So, unfortunately, the Tandems have felt that their home was no longer theirs.
Whoa.
Hold on, I'm going to get to it.
I was going to say,
and they
don't
decide
you
to
dare.
move, leaving the entity to live in the house with whoever gets it next.
I hope he follows him to the
I will
next
get into the
house.
next part, but I tried to look up the address to this. I searched for a while. I could not find it.
We kept it a good secret.
I am sure if I went through like public records and tax records of where we could, I did not have the time to do that. However, we do get some B-roll footage back from our favorite parapsychologist, Dr. William Roll.
And you guys might remember him from the Ghost
Ship episode. So he is a parapsychologist.
Okay.
And I will say, I looked in, because last time, remember, I was like, this guy claimed to be a doctor, and we get no other further information.
What is a parapsychologist?
So here's the thing. You can't actually get, remember we talked about this, like a degree in parapsychology, because it's not a real thing.
That's shocking.
But he is a doctor of psychology and worked at like several major universities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to take him seriously
Well, he has quite a bit of credentials. I even pulled up his obituary for you.
Oh, he's not alive anymore.
Yes, he passed away
rest in peace.
in 2012.
Oh, okay.
So he was born in Germany,
I figured.
moved
Yeah,
over
nice.
here. He obtained a BA from the University of Berkeley and got a Bachelor's of Literature from Oxford and a PhD from Lund University. So he was a very smart man.
Looks like he carried away.
Smart
Just because you
and eccentric would be my words I would use to describe
go
him.
to school a lot doesn't mean you're smart.
It means Oxford University is not a small thing to get into.
All right, I'll give you that.
Okay, so he was the director of Psychic Research Foundation, where he continued his research of out-of-body testing and ESP with mediums and psychics. He also coined the term RSPK, recurrent spontaneous psychonesis. So he gives us some B-roll footage. He came to this house. He met with Jim and Kay, talked to them. His actual belief was that this house wasn't haunted, but that our minds have the ability to potentially move objects on their own.
Yeah, did you notice I was going to say, Robert Stack tells us about that. He tells us about the phenomenon of
Psychokinesis, yep.
It's a hidden, physic power in the mind of an individual which moves items through space.
Yep. And then he also believed that there was a possibility that memories can be transferred to physical objects. And there's a whole TikTok world of this where people go and get like things from resale places and then like think that they're haunted. It's kind of cool. They like read the energy off of them. I've gone down many of TikTok rabbit holes, and they like get objects and buttons and all kinds of stuff, and then like read the energy of who owned these beforehand, because the memories and energies are in the objects.
Nope. Okay. Using that term, energy, so dumb.
It's not dumb.
Yes,
Our body has energy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No.
Ben, haven't you ever powered a light bulb like with the potato and like using your thing?
Oh my gosh.
We have energy.
No.
Okay, well, Dr. William Roll believed that we could put memories into physical objects and it can like trigger these events to take place.
No, we can't. No, we can't.
There is some speculations that hauntings are not actually technically caused by, quote, ghost, but by psychonesis, a hidden psychic power in the mind of an individual with an unconsciously moves objects throughout space. There you go. And that is our ghost story. Or is it a ghost story? I tried to look because I wanted to see if there was any other reports from other homeowners that had maybe experienced some haunting or issues in the house. I couldn't find anything.
Well, it's because there's a bunch of crazies out there telling that all kinds of stuff is happening in all these houses throughout the world.
Ben, don't say things like that, because then you're going to cause the energy to shift and it's going to bring ghosts to you.
One more time. Energy. Where is this energy? I want it.
It's in your
tired all the time.
You have
I
to
could use some
meditate
energy.
And focus on your energy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a life. And I don't just sit around.
You guys, Ben is salty because he had to watch this episode twice.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Well, we are right at 2 hours. So we're
really
going to
overdid it.
wrap this. You know what? For telling 6 stories,
I know.
I'm actually... That was a lot. So if anyone is still there sticking around. All right, before we get to our question of the night, you can find us on Instagram at Unsolved Couple Podcast. Excuse me. That's our Facebook group. On Instagram, we're Unsolved Couple Pod. And you can email us at unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com. Okay, Ben. Other than Unsolved Mysteries, do you have a hot take on a popular TV show?
What's up?
Like a TV show that everyone is obsessed with that you are not into. Like some sort of hot take.
I don't think so. I don't know. Do I?
The question was for you. So I'll give you mine.
Okay, you start. Maybe it'll jog a memory of mine.
98% of reality shows are dumb and a waste of time. I never got into Survivor. I don't like Fear. Like, remember at the beginning days of reality TV show, Fear Factor and Survivor and The World's Greatest Race and Undercover Boss, The Voice. Okay, that's probably my biggest hot take. I do not like singing competition shows. The Voice.
Oh, yeah.
America's Got Talent. All of those. I don't like any of them. I think that they are the worst. I don't know why they were such a big phenomenon. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see the appeal in any of those. Mostly those ones like, America's Got Talent and The Voice. What did Kelly Clarkson, wasn't there like a singing, was that?
I think that was American Idol.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. And I thought that show was so dumb.
I think I watched a half an episode of that.
Yeah, I did not get it.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's why my hot take is I think the world went crazy with and I mean, I still to this day, like the Mystery Singer and the fact that there are still shows kind of spinning off of American Idol. I don't know why we're still here.
Well, clearly it's successful.
Yeah. So my hot take is those shows I just don't get it.
Okay. Fair. My hot take.
Okay?
What is a hot take? What does that mean?
I think it's like a hot mic. You're saying something that you probably don't want everyone to know about because it's not the popular opinion.
Well, I don't want anyone to know about anything about me.
Well, good. It's a good thing that you're on a podcast then.
Yeah, I know. Good thing I'm sitting here, huh?
Yeah.
I guess I can give you 2 hot takes. Mm-hmm. Never have watched or got into 2 shows
Okay.
that were massively popular.
Okay.
Game of Thrones
Yeah.
and Breaking Bad.
We tried Breaking Bad.
That's what I'm saying. Game of Thrones I never even tried, don't care. It just, there's nothing about it that
I wanted
interests
to like
me.
that show. I think I watched the first couple of episodes and I was like, what? This is so... How did this become a phenomenon?
I tried Breaking Bad. I tried a couple episodes. I can see the appeal. I just didn't get into it.
Yeah.
So, never watched those 2 shows.
I wonder if some of it has to do with the amount of time we have to just like watch TV.
Yeah, I guess, but if you're into a show, you'll find time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But, no, never did.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever broken the cardinal rule of watching ahead on episodes when we're watching the show together as a couple?
Me and you?
Mm-hmm.
No, I would never break that rule. I don't break that rule.
Interesting.
Do you?
Never once. I
See?
think that could be the hot take because I bet most couples out there that's
No,
not the case.
I've never jumped ahead on a show that you and I got into. Because Sierra and I don't get into a lot of shows together.
Mm-mm.
So if we find one together, I'm
right
loyal.
now we're even rewatching Modern Family, and I haven't even
Yeah, but that's not a
jumped
show.
ahead on that. But that's, I mean, we're watching it together. I'm respecting that's what we're doing together.
Yeah, but that's just us watching. That's fill-in TV for. We have 20 minutes before we got to crawl into bed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this. Let's.
What
turn
is the
on
last
something
show that
easy.
we watched? I don't remember.
I don't know. We've started this new show.
You guys, if no one has seen this show yet, I don't think it's talked about very much, but it's called From, and it's on Prime, but I think, I don't know. That's where I found it at.
Well,
It's crazy good.
Yeah, this one it's turning out okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I watched that show Fallout on Prime.
Oh, I liked that.
We stayed true
And we
to
watched
that.
Silo on Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one cares about what our watching history. And they're probably like, dude, you guys have already dragged this on long enough. Let us go.
I know. I will say the one show we started together that I have thought about finishing without you is The Walking Dead. Because it got wild there.
You can 100% finish that with
Oh,
me.
yeah. But I don't know. Like, I don't feel the need. That show jumped the shark.
I guess I will say this. I did break the rule. I started jumping ahead. We started Yellowstone, but you didn't seem like you were into it. So
I liked Yellowstone, but you were way more into it than I was. Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm late to Yellowstone, but I started watching it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, there we go. All right,
you guys know about our watching, and I'm sure you guys were super excited to hear about it.
All right, everyone. Well, we will see you next Tuesday, where Ben and I will be back here to recap one of the original gateway drugs into true crime.
That's all, Mr. Ace.
Bye.